Hey, everybody. So, there are some shakeups on the Georgia Tech staff today. Pretty unexpected. I think we all kind of thought that the hiring process for Brent Key's staff was done, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, because, we had such a great defense this past year. And so we were kind of really hit with this news today, and it was pretty out of left field. Really didn't see this one coming at all. It started out with the announcement that Brent Key had fired D-line coaches Larry Knight and David Turner, and the director of player personnel, Thomas Gurry, has stepped down too, reported by Kelly Quinlan there. And I don't really know about that. That guy apparently stepped down willingly. So we'll be looking for that to fill that position. But particularly the defensive line coaches was pretty unexpected because we had a good defensive line this past year. We had Keon White in there, total beast. We've had some really improved in our sacks and everything like that. I noticed a big uptick in sacks this year from last year. I barely remember us getting like any sacks last year. It felt like we got decent pressure on the quarterback, but the sacks was the sacks were just not there last year, and it was a big uptick this year. And so I thought that it was showing improvement in that category. And run defense could have been better. I mean, we got ran all over by like Ole Miss, for example. So that, kind of makes sense. And what it really was, everybody's sitting there scratching their heads earlier when he fires the coach. And we kind of all were like, okay, this doesn't really make any sense. But the general consensus was, well, we're going to trust Coach Key. And he knows what he's doing. And it turns out he does because he's bringing back Marco Coleman, who had worked under Jeff Collins as the defensive line coach for as long as he was here. He had been here for a while. Went off to Michigan State last year. Of course, we had a couple coaches leave last year, a couple get fired. But Tashar Choice and Marco Coleman took their coaching talents elsewhere, and we were actually able to get Marco Coleman back now. So I'm sure Brent Key sees this as an upgrade as far as coaching the D-line, and I do too. So I'm happy with that. And as far as coaches that freaking left and we get them back a year later, Tashar Choice would have been nice. But Norval McKenzie has been doing a good job as our running backs coach. I'm sure he'll do a good job. He's been crazy on Twitter and everything, recruiting and everything like that. So happy with Norval McKenzie. We'll see how our running backs look this year. Hopefully we can get a better running game because our running game this past year sucked. But this is about defensive line. We're bringing back Marco Coleman in his 1 year at Michigan State. He recruited a couple 4-stars to him, so that's pretty exciting. Our recruiting when he was here for defensive line was pretty good. So glad to have him back. That's definitely going to be an upgrade, I'm sure. And Brent Key's staff is now complete. Who knows? If he gets the opportunity, he'll freaking make the change. I mean, it is what it is with Brent Key, man. He'll freaking do whatever it takes to get the best staff together. So stoked on that. Didn't expect Marco Coleman to be coming back. Didn't expect that at all. But pretty stoked on that. Stoked to see what we can do. Hopefully we can get this recruiting up because obviously our recruiting class this past year wasn't anything to write home about, but we tried to get bigger on the lines of scrimmage and stuff like that. So hopefully he can help with that, and we'll freaking get some sacks and everything, and it'll be great, I'm sure. Also, another really unexpected one and kind of head-scratching for me was we also hire Kevin Sherrer as linebackers coach, which I didn't even know linebackers coach was a vacancy. We already have a linebackers coach, Jason Seymour, and he coached two really, really, really good linebackers this year, Charlie Thomas and A.C. Lee. So I really didn't see that one coming at all. Although, whenever Brent Key took over in the middle of the season, he did promote Jason Seymour, Coach Boogie, as he affectionately refers to him. He did promote him to special teams coordinator. As we all know, our special teams was just absolutely abysmal this past year. And Brent Key was kind of able to put a Band-Aid on it in the middle of the season. It still was a really bad special teams, but at least we weren't getting, we had like 4 punts blocked throughout 4 games. So that was ridiculous, and he put a stop to the block punts. But it still was a really bad. We couldn't return a freaking punt. We couldn't do any of that. So now I was kind of wondering. That was a question that I still had. Me and Rec Talk discussed this on our live show the other night, or it was probably the live show before, about coaching vacancies on Georgia Tech still. And I was wondering about the special teams coordinator. I was wondering if Coach Boogie was going to continue to be the special teams coordinator and also linebackers coach, or if he was going to actually hire a full-time special teams coordinator. Well, he hires Jason Seymour as the full-time special teams coordinator and not linebackers anymore. So that was really threw a curveball at me. But apparently Coach Key was very impressed by what he saw with Coach Boogie. He said that he keeps telling the story about how he took over and asked him, and Coach Boogie had he had already planned like 180 special teams plays just in case he was asked for the job. So that, I'm sure that'll be great. We really need a lot of help on special teams. I would like to get another punter. I'm not the biggest fan of our punter, David Shanahan. Kind of a huge downgrade from Presley Harvin. I guess any punter would be a huge downgrade from Presley Harvin, but it's like, oof. As long as we can get a punt off and freaking block it and not have it run back or have it blocked or anything like that, I'll be okay with the special teams, okay? It's such a basic, fundamental part of football that you have to have it right. And I'm sure Brent Key knows that. I'm sure this will work out. I'm sure it'll be great. But we bring in Kevin Sherrer to now coach linebackers. And what can I say? You kind of look at our linebacker group, which was our friggin' best position group on the entire field, and you're like, how could you move the coach away from that position to go coach something else? Well, I was thinking about that, and I was like, how could he freaking get rid of Jason Seymour? Well, Jason Seymour had only been the linebackers coach for us for 1 year, this past year. So could he really take credit for Charlie Thomas and Ace Ely? Not really, because they were really, really good last year too. They were great last year, and they continued that into this year. So did he develop them and, kind of turn them into the machines that they were? No. He didn't, he was able to put them into, obviously, a position to succeed and make the most of their talents. So that was great. But as far as, this move and how kind of concerned I've kind of thought about it more, and I was like, well, you got this guy Kevin Sherrer coming in, and he's going to be pretty he's got a ton of experience. What can I say? His journey has taken him through tons of high school stops. He was like director of player personnel at Alabama for a while. He was DC at some group of 5 schools, and then linebackers coach for Georgia at one point, and then he was DC at Tennessee under Jeremy Pruitt. He's apparently friends with Jeremy Pruitt, so that's freaking awesome. Love that. And yeah, so he's got plenty of experience. He was with the Giants this past year. Got let go. Look, I'm not going to act like I freaking sit here and know his entire resume. Guy's got like over 2 decades. I was looking through his experience, and he's got like over 2 decades of it. So hopefully he can get our freaking linebackers in here and keep the train rolling on them, because that's been our most productive position group these past couple of years. And with Charlie Thomas and Ace Ely, well, of course, they're both going to the NFL this year. They're out of eligibility, so that really sucks. That hurts. And I kind of expected a decrease in productivity from that position group anyway, coming up this next year. So we'll have to see how that works out over time, recruiting and whatnot. But overall, just thought I'd freaking talk about this. Everybody was talking about the firings that he made earlier, and I didn't even have time to get home and make a video about the firings before he had gone ahead and hired his new people. So just thought I'd talk about those guys. Look, and Brent Key, we trust, right? We'll see how this all shakes out on the field next year. Look, Brent Key, man, let him cook. He's cooking up his freaking staff here, and he's getting his class. Look, he was able to take over this freaking team in the middle of the year last year, and against all odds, upset a bunch of teams. He's even. He's 500 as a coach since he took over, and I can only imagine what he can do with an off season. So I completely believe in him. I think it's going to be great in the long run. Just kind of unexpected, but hey, we're going to let him cook, and it's going to be freaking great. So go Jackets, and I'll see you guys next time.